Very busy week in Fredericton this week from the Legislative Assembly. A lot of activity, but little substance. The throne speech, however, as light as it is, there are some particularly important provisions for us. Public service, and this is what they had to say in their throne speech. Transforming government requires that we build on our dedicated and competent public service. The key words here are build on. They're not saying we must reduce the public service, we're saying we need to build on, and we're going to have to keep their feet to that fire. What's so important about this statement in their throne speech is that over the last 6 months there's been a wide variety of very harsh criticism about the public sector. And what we have done here at your union has been to lobby very hard, very thoroughly with the Premier to ensure that the public service was protected against what we're going to have to see in the provincial budget in the new year is a dedicated commitment by the Sean Graham government to advancing, developing, and expanding the public service. As there was great anticipation, and I know, for the Graham's response to the task force on self-sufficiency's recommendations. There were 91 recommendations made, some of them very far-reaching, some of them, quite frankly, made little sense to anybody. However, we anticipated that there would be a very strong direction provided by the Graham government, and quite frankly, it's pretty light. It's not even a light beer, it's more of an O'Doul's beer with respect to what was expected. But there are some very constructive pieces in their action plan to be self-sufficient, which, by the way, we've chosen to call it, this whole exercise, the future of New Brunswick. And one of the pieces that attracts our attention is the piece on post-secondary education. We all know that the Graham government came out about 5 weeks ago heralding the heralding the Post-Secondary Education Commission's report as a tenet, a foundation of self-sufficiency. But we saw huge protests that really pushed the government back. And so we were very anxious on behalf of our 3 bargaining units, almost 1,000 of our members who work in the community college system. And this is what the action plan on the future of New Brunswick, aka under the heading of transforming our workplace, the Graham government has sent the message that they want to create a post-secondary education system that is student-focused, highly integrated, and capable of preparing students for the jobs of today and tomorrow. And guess who provides the education, who provides the support? It's our members in the non-instructional group, all 150 of those individuals, the 750 members of our educational group, and the over 200 members of our administrative support bargaining unit. On a theme that was carried through in the throne speech, the Graham government also set this direction, that to transform our government, we will, and I'll quote from their action plan, revitalize our public service by investing in our employees and creating more opportunities for career development. Very nice sounding words. We have to be very careful with what that means exactly. Because back in the spring, when the task force on the future of New Brunswick, aka self-sufficiency, they indicated that the way this was going to be done would be by reducing the number of public service employees. When we cobble the action plan for self-sufficiency, aka the future of New Brunswick, and the throne speech language speaks louder and stronger, where they introduce new legislation. And one particular piece is the Public Interest Disclosure Act. And this is the whistleblowing legislation that your union has lobbied for a number of years. We were part of a consultative process with the government back in the spring. We advocated for a model based on the Manitoba legislation, and guess what? But for a few modifications, the Manitoba model is what we have here. Very busy week in Fredericton, and the 3 topics that attracted our attention were the throne speech and the recommitment to building upon the public service, the self-sufficiency action plan, or the Future of New Brunswick plan, which talked concretely, in theory at least, with respect to the future of the community college system. And thirdly, our hats off to the government with regard to the whistleblowing legislation. Your union sees these as very important topics that we will continue to follow on your behalf.